So, standardized testing is something that your children will take on the final weeks of school. And the tests are state required and they're state mandated and they're all multiple choice and they basically measure reading comprehension and mathematics. And these tests are administered to the 3rd grade through the 8th grades, but for your students 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, they will take these tests. And they're curricular-based achievement tests, so they're aligned to the North Carolina Standard Course of Study and include a variety of strategies to measure the achievement of the students. So they're used mostly to see the growth that the students have made from the beginning of the year EOG to the end of the year EOG. And EOG stands for end of grade test. So the test scores are mostly there to find out how well your children are doing in the school. And the test scores allow us and you as a parent to compare your child's performance with that of the other students that are in the same grade and the same school as them, and with students across the entire state of North Carolina. But the test score should always be considered with other pertinent information, such as the child's grades throughout the whole school year so far, and they can't just base the child's achievement solely on the test scores. They take other things into consideration when deciding whether or not to move your child up to the next grade or to make them attend summer school or to hold them back entirely. And the information that they gather on your child, they use the scores, and the tests are only one of the indicators. They're not even the main indicator, but in some cases the schools take them as the main indicator. And if they do, you as a parent can argue that because your child's success should not be determined by just one test alone. So the scores in the reading comprehension and the mathematics are for computing the growth based off the other composite scores that the child has had so far. And they use the scores has the ABC's accountability program and for determining adequate yearly progress under the Title I mandates of the No Child Left Behind Act that was brought in 2001. And the scores are also used to determine the progress and proficiency under the state mandated student accountability standards at the grades 3, 5, and 8. And so the individual student report is the report on each child individually. And for the end of grade test, these reports provide information concerning the child's performance at the end of the grade test in reading comprehension and mathematics. And the information on the left side of the report will describe the student's performance on the end of grade reading comprehension test, and the right side of the results describe the student's performance on the end of grade mathematics tests. And so the number of questions that your child answered correctly is called the raw score, and the raw score is converted to a developmental scale score. And the scale score depicts growth in reading comprehension and mathematics achievement from year to year. And you can compare the scale scores on the end of grade test given during the last 3 weeks of the previous school year and the end of grade tests that are given the last 3 weeks of the current school year to determine that what your child's growth is in the reading comprehension and the mathematics comprehension. The achievement level on the report shows the level that your child performed on the test as a result overall. And the achievement levels are predetermined performance standards that allow your child's performance to be compared to what is expected of their grade level. And 4 achievement levels are levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they're reported in both reading and mathematics. And so the student scores at or above show the percentile rank that compares your child's performance on the test to the rest of the North Carolina students who took the test that same year. And they took that test in the norming year. And the norming year for a test is generally the first year that the test was administered. And the percentile score shows that your child performed at a level equal to or even better than the stated percentage of students who took the test during that norming year. So, for example, if your student scores as well or better than 83% of students who took the test in the norming year, then your student is in the 83rd percentile. And so the higher percentile, the better your child performed compared to other students his age that took that test. And the percentile ranges rank from 1 to 99. And so the North Carolina students who are in public school are required to meet statewide standards for promotions from grades 3 to 4, from 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and so on, and for high school graduation. And these standards are called gateways, and they ensure that the students are working at grade level in reading, writing, and mathematics before they're promoted to the next grade. And so the MET State Gateway is located on the end of the grade individual reports for students at grades 3, 5, and 8. And it indicates if a student did, which will say yes, and if they did not, it will say no, meet the gateway for their reading comprehension and mathematics. The student section shows your child's score in relation to the range of possible scores and achievement levels. Your child's score is represented by a closed diamond. The bar, which is across the closed diamond, represents where your child's true score should be, about 2/3 of the time. On another day or a different set of test questions, your child might have obtained a slightly different score. It just depends on what kind of questions are being asked and how much they were taught during the school year. But as long as the score should lie within the bar, then the learning is on the level it should be. On this report, your child's scale score will be compared to the average scale scores for the school system, and the state. The average scale scores for the school, the system, and the state are represented as open diamonds, and the horizontal line across each open diamond represents the range of scores achieved by about 2/3 of the students in the same grade as your child. The average scale scores for the school and the school system are based on the spring 2008 test administration, and the state is based on all the scores of North Carolina students who took the test in the norming year. The description of the achievement level is reported for your child's performance in reading comprehension and mathematics. A complete listing for the 4 achievement levels for the reading comprehension and mathematics by grade level can be found on our NC Public Schools website, and if you want to check that out, I'll provide the link for you. The reading comprehension tests are linked to the Lexile framework for reading, and the Lexile framework measures both reading ability and text difficulty on the same scale for the Lexile scale. And then your child's Lexile scores are reported from a low of BR, which is beginning reader, to a high of 2000 L. Lexile scores don't translate specifically to the grade levels. Using your student's Lexile score, you can match your children to books and other reading materials that are on their reading ability level. So, for example, if your child is reading at a BR level, you don't want them to come home from school with a 900 level Lexile book, because that'll be too difficult for them, and then they won't be able to make good grades on their AR testing. So the North Carolina Standard Course of Study is the entire framework that guides classroom instruction and assessment for every student in North Carolina, and it also provides competency goals for each grade and high school course to ensure rigorous student academic performance standards that are uniform across the entire state. So on the student report, the subscale performance section shows that the subscale score for the goals and section reported at the end of the grade test of reading comprehension and mathematics. The reporting units for subscales at the end of grade test are reading comprehension are literary reading and informal reading. And the reporting units for subscales at the end of grade of mathematics are goals and units defined by calculator active portions of the test and calculator inactive portions of the test. And these are also demonstrated by the open closed diamond and the bar across them. So the key features that come along with the reading comprehension test are reading and knowledge of vocabulary, reading comprehension at grades 3 through 5, selections on the test based off reading materials chosen to reflect the variety of actual reading done by students in and out of the classroom, reading literary sections, and they want them to differ, so you'll have both fiction, nonfiction, poetry, all sorts of different genres, so it can't all be the same content. A variety of selection like this allows for the assessment of reading to gain information to perform a task. It's done for a lot of different reasons. Some key features for the math are to assess student achievement in 5 strands of mathematics curriculum, which is numbers and operations, measurement, geometry, data analysis, and probability, and algebra. And so some of the test items on the mathematics test are field items, which means they don't count towards or against the student's score. And then there's an 82 item test, including the field items, that's administered in both calculator active and calculator inactive, and this is just to make sure your student can do the mathematics using a calculator and without using a calculator. And so the best way to help your children with these tests, to help prep for them, is to have them read at home different sections for reading, and this will help them. You can have them read nonfiction text, fiction text, poetry, and then ask them a few questions and see what they know about it. And for math, just have them solve some word problems. Have them work them out with a calculator and without a calculator, and then you can see how well they're doing, and this will probably base how well they'll do on the EOGs. Thanks.